that have a chimbigi, che, Nyamlen Jalia, and Simja, Tamje Dewa, the Tenda, Simbe Chambata, Simja Tamju Dunga, the Jawa Show, Simbigi Nijikom, and the Simja Tamje Dunga, the Jawa, Simjan Dewa, the Tempatia, Nichi, Simbigata, and then Hassan Namda, Samda, the Nesim, the Inzata, Simja Tamjiki, don't know, Tiki Tuviala, and then Naran Tambo San Yokoban Matam Dada, and Tiki Medos, Chisati, in the Simja Tamjiki to the San Yokoban, Tobasho, Simbiki. I just use Simki, in the Janju Simki, that's on Yokoba Tobala, and Karjagores and a Persian to Vinyam and Chikore, such as other Jimbanium, the Tsurin and the Subanian, Zunjaniam, and there's something I share in Yam and Chikore, said, Udus Yam and Chet, I did Janju Sambanam, you, Undus Yam and Gores, Zadi, then did not have the kissing tongue of the Chimban Marsh, you such that Zunji, Yam and Nada de Liaz, or take on Lady Rodam.
Good evening. So it's been a couple of weeks since we were together. So just to reset the context, in order to enter into the paths of the Mahayana Dharma, one recognizes the equality of beings in that we all want to experience only happiness and be freed of suffering. Developing this further, generating the wish, may all beings experience only happiness, we cultivate love. May all beings be freed from suffering in its entirety, we generate compassion. We develop these minds to the extent where we see it as our own individual responsibility to ensure that each being attains or develops within themselves the state that is liberated from suffering, the state of lasting happiness. In this way we generate the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility. But recognizing that right now we are limited, we do not have the skill to guide each being in accordance with their own individual karmic background and individual spiritual disposition. We commit to becoming a perfected being, a Buddha. And here we generate the determination to strive to become enlightened for the sake of others, so that we can benefit others in the best of ways. Here, having generated bodhicitta, one then engages in the activities of a bodhisattva, the activities that will bring about the attainment of our goal, enlightenment. And these activities are the 6 perfections. And of these 6 are generosity, ethical restraint, patience, joyous perseverance, concentration, and wisdom. And of these 6, over the last few months, we've looked at first generosity, thereafter ethical restraint, and thirdly, patience.
Another Zunju said that Jidang Zunju Yungo, the Kandishila Gorasine, Gavi Gavalia, Mipa Gao, Yu Gawachilia, True Sambatelia, Gavis, True Sambatella, and Zunju said the Lishimosungora, Zunju Grant in the Shirwa.
And a fortnight ago, we started with the 4th, which is that 4th perfection, that of joyous perseverance. And the essence of joyous perseverance is, it is a mind that delights in virtue.
Is that Zunju de la Yawalmasona and the Sum says Sharwa, the Kochi Zunju Sada, Gawachi Zunju, Simja Dunji, Zunju said, and they by Sum Chin and the kissing under the Kochi Zunju de Ma, Kasati Shusare.
And also last time, we started to look at the 3 divisions of joyous perseverance. We looked at the first, that being armor-like joyous perseverance, and then the 2 remaining divisions to look at are the joyous perseverance of gathering virtue and the joyous perseverance of striving for the welfare of sentient beings.
Na Jidanganzu, Naranzu in a Gavi Chawa, Gawachilia, Gavi Samba Jeje. Na that Zunju Chagura, Gawachilia, Gawati, Yawaria, and some Damana Zunju Chagore. That I'm going to say the Janjusim Bigi, Zunju Yamnete, Janjusim, Zunju Yamnete, and the Sungoro, and the Diko Shigoroa, that it didn't want to share there.
Last time we looked at how a bodhisattva in particular engages in the practice of joyous perseverance. And we looked at how it always refers to the engaging in virtue and doing so with delight and enthusiasm.
Nada janju semba namgi da gochi zunju sedi da ganes gomgore simdi sudi samlo di kanere lamna da semje 탐지 gi donda da i jeya yimba yire ne semje ji gi donda semje ji gi dunga seya da digi tubya ya sosu gi lu le ya kanga ka ji yobena so la kanga yobena lu so la lu da so la kanga la ma de ba chi an de le zunju zomgi sembi ne samnataya zunju de la gochi zunju se ne janju semba namgi nyamne nada di ro de gochi zunju se.
Bodhisattva, who generates the first of the three divisions of joyous perseverance, namely armor-like joyous perseverance, develops a particular strength of mind that when engaging in virtue, not only does the bodhisattva do so with delight and perseverance, but with this quality of armor-like strength, which means that being a bodhisattva, they are striving in this particular virtuous activity for the sake of sentient beings. But the armor-like aspect means that no matter what hardships they have to endure, whether it's for all sentient beings or only one, they will be steadfast. They will persevere through whatever hardships they may encounter, dispelling those hardships, not having their mind overwhelmed by the hardships. So a bodhisattva who wears armor-like joyous perseverance, or perseverance which is like armor, their mind is joyful, no matter what effort they need to put in, nor for how long, and even if it's for the sake of just one sentient being.
Bene chen masuye gi dulo ru sigruwa da chen gi masyen gi masuye gi chen gi masuye dulo kombaina an chen suya yo mar su ban da sta yo marwa jisang ko chi zun zhi deni gi zhuwe semba ji zun zhi ye baina ane jige jawa kare zhuwe ne jele ya je tu go re so da ba che yung go ma re jo ba che ka tu go ba jisang le lo da deni gi ba che de ka je gewe jawa di chup tu gor wa cha go che zun ju la se zun ju tin chi sam lo ning top chi yo ba ina tin gewe shen yu duen ju bia da an ji so su go kom ja la so ba da tin ya go shu chup tu gor re se go wa tin za go che zun ju su go cha se la discours.
In the same way that soldiers on days gone by would wear armor so as to protect them in battle, the bodhisattva wears the armor of joyous perseverance to protect their motivation, to ensure that they are not harmed by any of the true enemy, in other words, the afflictions such as laziness. A bodhisattva then wears armor so as to guard their mind and ensure that their strength and their courage endures throughout whatever obstacles they may encounter. Primarily then, the armor that the bodhisattva, the purpose of the armor is to protect the bodhisattva's motivation from the enemy of the afflictions, such as laziness.
Now, Geshe Thubten Rabten zunjuge nyamlen chedu, Geshe Thubten rangtun said some Unit go Marakari, the Chasan Shengi Dunda, Janya, Shenli Digi Druada, Shengi Dunga Seg Dunda, Derang some Daje, and the Jixunji Penny Shengle, Chibata, Beapore, some Bedela Kawaki, and Besuchi Delia, and Kawaki, and the Yamlet Naya. And it's Jixurum Soene, Shenlet Nidin, Jevan, Shenlet Nugris, Shenlet Kanga Tigre, Diapo Mare, some Jedi, Shenlet Nuna, never the Jimmy, some big some, then some died, Beapore, somebody, Sudim de la Gavi, Zundu to get to Shigurada. And then Shengi doing Dualia, and then Tompany Tobu Lodige, Comia to get this way Shengi Dungasia, the Shenlet Digi Duala, the Compare some big Kawaki, she Chasan Shengi Donamato, rounding is some sort of Unimeva, then is the Rangle Digi Dubia down, and the Rangi Kamasea, and then they get some unit then go Mara, Gentleman, Shen Simjan. Simjan, Shengi Dona Janya, some Daje, and the Zunju Medi, Jensen Zunju Nadi, Yamlen Nana, Dusnangorwada.
Bodhisattva is guided by the other cherishing mind. They don't come under the influence of the self-cherishing mind. They have a clear determination not to be influenced by self-cherishing, but always have the welfare of others first and foremost in their motivation. So with their armor of joyous perseverance, when they're engaging in virtuous activities such as generosity, they generate great joy at the opportunity of being able to practice generosity towards others in one of the three ways. They generate great joy when they're guarding their mind from coming under the influence of the afflictions. In other words, they take a great delight in being ethical. Moreover, when they're engaging in meditation practice, for example, cultivating the wisdom realizing emptiness, they take great joy, great delight in being able to engage in this meditation. And therefore, with the strength of mind that comes from delight or from joy, they are able to ensure that they are not overcome by any afflictions such as laziness.
나로 저기 전주 좀 나대 가래 정보라서 나로 저기 교자 오다이 알이야디 지킹아디 신고구도 선배 나서 배삼다 셴 삼당 거말 나디 롭죠 나디 지공고 나디 지나라야 공부네 디기 용어서 네디 냠는 개와디 두베네 알이야 손음 생아라로 손음 사이고래 지자 개와들이야 두야게 삼다야다 아니 나디 개와 두바나 뭐 반응 알이야 디디기 대부 디기 용구래서 네네 삼다 제가 저 개와를 전주 좀 해야 돼 가지고 기회 자와 전주 좀 해야 돼 망아지 알아서 유라 좀 나차사 나세도 소소랑기 된다들이야 저 삼디네 나제가 저 개와를 어디에 지긴 배하고래 선배 삼로치 지거로 와당하는 저 삼다나데.
For ourselves though, not being bodhisattvas, we are not guided by the other-cherishing mind. When we look within, we see that it's the self-cherishing that guides us. So when we engaging in, for example, the cultivation of knowledge, or reflecting on that knowledge, our motivation is to attain our own peace of mind, our own happiness. This is our motivation first and foremost. When we, therefore, engage in or apply joyous perseverance, when we're putting effort into our accumulation of virtue, we are primarily motivated by the attainment of our own happiness.
Nina shinda ngaro zu de yin de yin, da ngaro zu le da mi nyam len ba lam nyam len ji ken bene nyan de da rang kya se de gi ne ko zu ge lam kom ge we ja wa la da me ba kom ya da jing bi nyam len zun de nyam sui bi nyam len che zun de shu ji de ne nyam be ya wo de sen zun de zun go de yin ne da xian lai pan be chi de 요르데 이내 코로나도 코로나도 탈바 토야다 디팅인 탈바 토고주 지자 세데 랑기 탈바 토야게 된다 조 델레 미제나네 직전에 좀 야다 능고로와 지자 셀레 펜베치도 전주 중국어데 이내 조 랑기 탈바 토야게 된다 소소랑랑기 탈바 토야게 된다 델레 미제네 안에 전주 중국어로와.
This is where we are right now in our training. And we're not alone. The great practitioners who are striving for their own liberation, who have attained a path in their continuum, and they're striving for the liberation from suffering of a hero or a solitary realizer, who are striving for the attainment of the state of aratship, they too have their own happiness as their primary objective. So whilst, of course, these great practitioners, heroes and solitary realizers, will be engaging in activities which bring tremendous benefit to others, within their motivation is primarily the attainment of their own happiness, striving to achieve their own individual liberation.
전주 좀바 지바레데 나 삼다하 군노를 마서나 지고 되네게 미유다 군노를 마서나 삼다하네 캐바쇼로 와다 지사 되네자 전주 좀바 이바 지바레데 이네 개위 자와들 쪼아 이바 지바레데 이네 미유들라 나랑게 된다 사다 랑게 된다 삼다도 전유선바다 랑게 된다서 윤에 삼마다 현조 현기 향야 삼다도 그러 송거로 와다 현기 된다라 송거로 와 공거로 와 지캐바레데 디샤로 와다.
Whether a practitioner is of our current level, or someone who's striving for their own individual liberation, or a bodhisattva, all will generate joyous perseverance and will practice with joyous perseverance. What differs, though, primarily is the motivation. Our motivation, the motivation of someone who's striving to become an arhat, or the motivation of a bodhisattva who's striving to become a Buddha. The motivation for the first two types of beings, ordinary beings such as ourselves, those who are striving for their own individual liberation, is their joyous perseverance is motivated, or is conjoined with the motivation of striving for one's own happiness first and foremost. A bodhisattva, though, on the other hand, their joyous perseverance is conjoined with a motivation which is solely focused on the welfare of others, a motivation that is devoid of any self-interest. So all these types of beings practice joyous perseverance, but their motivation that it's conjoined with is vastly different.
Gyatso zhue senpa labion de soso rang rang zu samda wen soso gi lunga yi sum gi shen la nieju don ba de pe ya nieju don ba de surim ruwa chisa nge lunga yi sum yu ga ne shen la nieju gi shen la nyeba jigme sembe samda ta de pe ya bora sampe ge samda de zun zhe de shen la lunga yi sum gi ga ne shen la nyeba jigme sembe samlo di surim ruwa de ne sun yue senpa de ne senpa de surim re 지금 네가 지금에 삼배 삼로 수림제로와 지금 네가 지금에 삼배 삼로 나데 배 약월에 삼배는 전주리 제자디 나 주기래요 지디나신 나 주기 대시할 양이 샬레 펜바직 셴이 샬레 로바 지 삼배게 삼로디 동에 삼배 진바로와 진바래 지자다 네데 샬라 로바 제기 삼다데 배 약월에 삼배 삼다면은 전주리 제자 미에디 진바래 미네 육진바래 미제 쪼외 삼바 소소라는 냠는 추침을 미네 쪼외 삼바 다 소소라는 미jengin가래 녀베기야다 데니게 강할 때다 니 쇠보kom에 쇠보kom긴 좀 맞추고지 쇠보kom긴 삼베 쇠바디 쇠바치 데네게 데네게 샹기 녀바다 랑이 강할 때 쇠보kom바 쇠바디 곰도 빼야고려 삼베 삼는나 수rim래 미비 쇠바리 미비 수림 랑기 유기 수림래 미비 전주 랑기 유기 진바리 미비 전주 랑기 유기 쇠바리 미비 전주 디나싱의 띵이 좀 공부하되 빼야버려 삼바이나 내 랑기 유기 삼달래 미비 전주 당이 다음에 받아 미다베고 삼다 제바제 삼다 빼야버려 삼베 삼다는 랑기 유기 셔랄 미비 전주 어두스네 당하나 주기 찍기 개와 가래 제베나 나랑 이제 개와 빼 약보를 되는 전에 약보를 삼바이나 가에 쪼외 삼바 개와를 쪼외 삼바 지산 전리디 책으로 이 약보를 삼바이나 되는 게디나 진임 튀기로 와 근데 진데 야와 말에 삼나 네 전리디 냠로데 약보를 삼베 삼로드 마 튀고촌데 네 야와 말에 삼베 삼로디 리기로 디제 되는 야와 말에 삼나 안 지요 말와 안데 내가 진바도에나 숨소에나 마 네거 자샤에게 냥아요 와 제자들이 상아도 준주도 약불에 삼배는 아니 델리아 지혜기 자와도 망하지 두고 봐.
Let's look then at how practitioners at our level, how we utilize joyous perseverance. Taking then, for example, the determination that we will not harm others through either our physical interactions with others, or our verbal communication with others, or even our way of thinking. The determination, I will not harm others because I don't want to suffer. I don't want to fall to the lower realms, for example, create causes to suffer in my future lives. This is the practice of ethical restraint. And then taking delight in this, saying, how wonderful that I am restraining my mind from coming under the influence of the afflictions and thereby not harming others and not creating the causes for further suffering. How wonderful. I'm going to continue in this endeavor. This is worthwhile. So here, an ordinary practitioner such as ourselves is practicing both ethical restraint as well as joyous perseverance. Similarly, generating the wish to be of benefit to others. Generating this wish to be of benefit to others so as to ease their burden of suffering and to accumulate virtue ourselves, but only thinking though about the results that will come in this life or perhaps to ourselves in future lives. This here is a very ordinary practice of generosity, a very ordinary wish to be of benefit to others, but if it's conjoined with the wish of how wonderful it is that I am cultivating this wish to be of benefit to others, to give of myself to others. Here we are conjoining generosity with joyous perseverance. Similarly, when we engage in the meditation on patience, in going through various scenarios and ensuring that when we meet such situations again, our mind can stay undisturbed in the face of adversity, whether from others or our own inner turmoil. But we're doing so with the motivation to have some peace of mind, to not be overwhelmed by suffering, and perhaps not to accumulate non-virtue so that we don't suffer in the future. Here, when we take delight in our training, especially when we're seeing some success, we generate joy in our training and we persevere in our training, here we are conjoining perseverance with a joyous perseverance with patience. Similarly too, when we're developing concentration or reflecting on selflessness, when our motivation is for our own benefit, we would still though conjoin the training with joyous perseverance. And this is crucial. So even when one's motivation is just for one's own benefit, it's crucial to conjoin it with joyous perseverance, because if we're taking delight in our accumulation of virtue, whatever that virtuous practice is, the purpose of that delight is it serves to encourage us to continue in our training. If we lack delight, if we're doing it out of a sense of obligation or feeling, well, I suppose I should, we'll struggle to persevere. We'll struggle to, for example, develop a daily meditation practice. But if we do conjoin our virtuous endeavors with delight, we will with greater ease, we will persevere because we're seeing this virtuous activity as pleasurable, as delightful.
Geshe Thubten Rabten 가와지야데 가와고미야디다 전주기 차거로와 디나제 semjan 탐제 양이 짐 semjan 탐제게 논달래 짐바다야 될 아니 배워버렸으면 가와는 아니 제고를 제 전주 차거로 진짜 semjan 탐제게 된다 디나신다 semjan 땅아주나 가령으로서 semjan 민망보지게 된다 인데다 배 된다 이게 제기리 제나 지기리 해야지나 근데 안에 제게 지기리 해서 지지야라 아니 미치기 된다 미치기라데 되네게 나갈래 자고 민도선 비가서 준리레 마도 인고와 자주 선바디기 심진지기 된다에네 대야는 배 지금 로망부 가와망부 디도날 간래 겹나 접투기 접긴 선배 심주기고로 디나징 안조이네 심제 탐제기 된다 신단 안심 sem 탐지기 된다 셈지기 된다 이내 디기주야도 동아세야량이 갈래짝이 선배기다 가제 갈래접나 자기 선배기 되네게 될이야 되네게 갈래접지 콘솔레 로봇이야 배아고래 선배기 섬 가와 공바이나 가와디 근데 가와디 개와이나 되네 가와디 안주기 도시네 섬 다징 안주네 셈제 탐지기 된다 섬당거든 다바이나 니 개와디 빼면서 개치 못 차기리스 지선 전주 선배기 개완하신 군호들에 안주네 전주 선배 나신 길로 제 집을 지켜야 책임하되네 다니 초도 지켜 야채 못 살고 그래서 진짜 심지어 탐지기 공원 키워야 돼 김전으로 뒤차거든
Recognizing where we are and the difference between where we want to be, we then try to intentionally generate a motivation that resembles what a bodhisattva spontaneously generates within themselves. So while right now we are primarily focused on our own happiness, we should also conjoin in our training the motivation of wanting to spiritually improve, spiritually develop, so that we can be of greater benefit to others. For example, when engaging in the cultivation of the attitude of patience, we should expand our motivation that we want to have a more patient outlook, a mind that stays undisturbed in the face of adversity, not only for our own benefit, but really for the benefit of others. that our spiritual development can enable us to be of ever greater benefit to others. So we intentionally include in our motivation that the result of our training needs to be that we can be of greater benefit to others. Then take delight in this. Take delight in our generation of this motivation, albeit artificial. We recognize that these are the starting steps to when we will eventually arise as the Bodhisattva and be able to generate such a motivation with sincerity. And similarly, if we're meditating on generosity, cultivating the wish to give of ourselves to others, in our meditation, develop the sincere wish for the sake of others. I want to open my heart, make my heart more expansive, give of myself to others with sincerity and with ease, so that I can be of great benefit to others, ease their suffering, and through the accumulation of virtue, be of ever greater benefit to others. So here, whilst this way of thinking may not be natural yet for us, through repeatedly generating it, we become habituated to this way of thinking, and slowly, over time, through repetition, this becomes second nature to us. We do this with all our trainings, and moreover, not to leave ourselves limited to just thinking about this concept of all sentient beings, but where we do have the opportunity to express our training towards just one, do so. And generate the thought that in the same way that I'm helping only one being now, may I be able to help all beings. I offer this merit to all beings. And in your meditation, call to mind individual situations where one can be of benefit, either through ethics or through patience or through generosity and so forth, and generate the determination that even for one being, I will practice generosity or I will be patient. And even if it only benefits one being, how fantastic, how wonderful that I can ease their burden of suffering, that I can bring happiness into the life of just that one being, even if it's only for a moment. How fantastic. And in this way, we generate joyous perseverance just like a bodhisattva, in that a bodhisattva takes delight in helping even one being. And even if it means they have to make great effort for an extensive period of time, going through a vast number of obstacles to benefit just one being, a bodhisattva will do so with joy and therefore with ease. So if we can intentionally generate the bodhisattva attitude like this, combine it with our joyous perseverance, we'll accumulate so much more merit. We, of course, will not create the quantity of merit or the strength of merit that an actual bodhisattva who sincerely and spontaneously generates bodhicitta, but we will accumulate so much more than if we're really practicing just for our own betterment. So therefore, with intentionally, expand our motivation to include all beings. When doing this, when meditating on joyous perseverance, as I've mentioned before, one can rely on these very inspiring verses in the Lama Chöpa. So there's the one here that's relevant. Please, so we in relation to our spiritual teacher, one makes this request for inspiration. Please bless me to complete the perfection of joyous perseverance by striving with compassion for supreme enlightenment, not getting discouraged even if I must remain for an ocean of eons in the fiery hells of Avishi for even one sentient being. So this is the 104th verse in the Lama Chöpa.
Ma nyawa kawa ge nyawa narme se menan ba deje deya nimchik da logic mayin ba kawa mangbo gyatso sene gyatso na sin se de gyatso sene gyachim bu shuru wa dinna sin kawa mangbu kasi ne gobe ne ya ngaja chike kyowa se de gyune mewa che aninge dene ge zundu nyamne che tuyege lamege ya ngalia jingi labro che saje udusin lamalya sodep shugura dene ge zundu nyamne che tuyege lamege jinlam jingi labro che saje lamalya sowa de gorwa 차상 된다 차상 셰샤다
To read it again. Please bless me to complete the perfection of joyous perseverance by striving with compassion for supreme enlightenment, not getting discouraged even if I must remain for an ocean of eons in the fiery hells of the Vichy for every sentient being. Here then, returning to our Lama, making the request, bless me, give me inspiration or inspire me so that I can take all hardships, transform them onto the path, and strive to be of benefit to others in all situations, even if by others it's one single sentient being, and even for them, if I must endure something of great difficulty, may I do so with joy and delight, knowing that I'm being of benefit to a kind but suffering mother sentient being. So we recite verses such as these to give us the strength of mind to endure whatever hardships we do encounter in our life, and to do so with a joyous, light and spacious mind.
다 교화계제 니지 냠로 다데심전 어디니 지가도 증기깔에 접투서 말해 섬제 안당에 제수서 말해서는 니지 반냠이야요. 그래서 데니게 셈 강아체 교화계도 안능에 제투사 말해서 배 삼로데 내용으로 데네자데 데니게 마요 니지 교화 맞게야. 아니 데니게 니지 마냠바 교화 맞게야. 라미게 질라 제 니지 메교 자주 산요고방 토야려야 교화 맞게 바지 데니게 냠네 제투베게 라미진이 라르제스 니지 메교 데니게 전주 냠 제투베게 진행 라르제스 그러다 니지 메교라 니지 교화 견다다 어다딩에 용서 말해서 배가 데니게 로망보디 제투 말해서 베게 데니게 교화 께서나 니지 냠도 그래 니지 냠도는 안 산요고방 토 자주 산요고방 토 말와 데네자 데니게 니지 마 갈래까지 요나 니지 교화 맞게 바 니지 곰토야기 안도스네 곰체 전투 제토야기 라메진이 라브로제사 송거와.
Please bless me to complete the perfection of joyous perseverance by striving with compassion for supreme enlightenment. So here we're asking for inspiration, and within this request we're highlighting the importance of compassion, because to the extent that one generates compassion for others, one will readily endure whatever hardship one encounters. Compassion serves to give us the strength of mind to not be overwhelmed by our difficulties, because compassion is focused on the needs of others and serves to give us a deep inner well of courage to deal with whatever hardships that we encounter in our daily life, and to interact with others with a light and spacious, joyous attitude, not becoming dispirited, not feeling that any situation or endeavor is beyond our capacity. But genuine compassion has as its focus the need to guide all beings to a state freed of suffering, and when developed further, gives one the strength of mind to become a Buddha for the sake of others. Therefore, whatever situations we encounter in our daily life, these we can readily overcome. We can readily be in otherwise difficult situations, but with a mind that's spacious and powerful.
Molam Jagore, Tanganzi, Yunguru up in the Shanley, Robert Chia in Ada, Shangi Dundale, Chickini, Kanga, or that Tambong as a Sarching Chevenet, or that Manguchi, Yasi, or that in Chitu Samara, that chasing to Danga Chigme as a big Chitu Samara, but they Kanga sometime and the Chitu Samara as a big part in Dini, Paluagi, Ninga Yunguru, Dinesa, Dini, Maya Dundale, Marazine, Kidi, near SMJ Dundala Kaleka, Jabna Angalia, Joa. And the nigger general some to yagi, and you want to show us a bit, and do Molam Jare, 나한줄이야 되니기 시행기 돈달래 되니기 강아체 교화를 기여도 나당에 제수삼말 선배 삼을지 레바이나 알람상 아주 오 전주세 만남기 냠는 제야디 두시고 말다 셈전지 도나야 까바 망고 강을 나 가세냐나 류솔로면 냥기 세비 냠는 난기 저리 점게 세비 두스 난거래 되네 냠는 지거래 제가 전주세 만나 두스 냠는 지거래 되네 냠는 전에 사지 디게 되네 냠는 산주고 뭐 토바래 제가 난주 ingene 되네 냠 마제버나 산주고 뭐 토투말 다 전주세 만나 냠는 제바 나신지 강 톱도용 지긴 세비 삼 따바이나 난 저기 될야 양지 소수게 이 강아래 지 레어도 아니 아직 교와 레어는 교와데 사야야 아니야 셈슈게야래 개발용고로 전시센바다 사제다 디소 콘주도 제나래 콘주 디네 깔레 잡제도 제바래 지상 안주에 디네 제고고래 삼백에 도 삼다베네 야 소소 교와게 교와세야야 판도 용식으로.
Including prayers such as these in one's meditation means that when we're then going about our activities and we encounter situations which are for us trying or difficult, whether with other individuals or a situation in general, we will be able to generate the strength of mind within us to ensure that our mind stays spacious in this otherwise trying situation, and rather we can pull up within ourselves the inspiration of our lamas, and the inspiration of our role models, and embrace this situation, seeing it rather as an opportunity, recognizing that we have the capacity through dealing with the situation in a more skillful manner, not to be overwhelmed by it, but to rather respond to the situation, to the individual, in a way that's skillful, and thereby keeping our mind spacious and being able to be of benefit to others. So the great benefit that comes through training in joyous perseverance is that our inner courage arises within us. We are thereby able to have greater wells of strength within us, or access the strength within us, so that we are not overwhelmed by situations. We don't turn away from situations where we otherwise could be of benefit. We don't run away from situations where we otherwise could be of benefit. Rather, we fulfill our actual capacity, and we start to ever more emulate our role models. Now let's return to the text, and starting with the second of the three divisions of joyous perseverance. So in the middle of page 43 by the Roman numeral 2, but I'll read my own translation, which is very similar, but a bit more literal, so closer to Genla's explanation. Independent on that, the joyous perseverance of gathering virtue which develops one's practice of the six perfections.
Dela tene sede de jinyele seagi anzugi gochi zunju semchenji yudunda na chige gedine da kale jagi sembegi tene yoa meban zunju zunju yakore sembegi zunju samdade di gochi zunju dela tene da semchen tamje yudunda sanyogo ba tobar je jigin jebadi pe yakor jigin sembe zunju zumyodu anda sanyogo ba tobala karasne 진주고 냠nen 니 진비 냠nen 제데 약벌게 세데 진배님네 잘에 가와기야 소수기 진바다 추점도 쇠바다 네 삼대네 셰답기 소수기 쩐주님네 델이야 약벌에 했으면 가와고 가야 가와디 가와기에디다 디르와 아이가스 개와 추디 쩐주 소소랑랑기 디 파신주기 냠는 제야디 약벌에 했으면 델이야 가와기에요도 안능아 저기 디 개와 추디 쩐주시데 디 소수기 가와기에도 될이야 전주의 냠내는 숙체를 숙체를 배전체를 거래 배전체를 나가지고 개위 되는 게 냠는 되게 차상 야 공부도 주고 와지다 개와 최 뒤세도 수 소수규래 야 공부도 주고 그래서 그래.
Independent on that, the joyous perseverance of gathering virtue which develops one's practice of the six perfections. in dependence on that then refers to the first of the three divisions, that which was looked at just before, armor-like joyous perseverance, which you'll recall, the armor refers to the joyous perseverance which protects our mind, protects our bodhisattva motivation. So the armor-like joyous perseverance gives us this deep well of inner strength and courage that we can persevere with a light and spacious mind in all situations. No matter how trying they are, our mind stays protected by the armor-like joyous perseverance. Our motivation stays protected. Here, though, in dependence on that, so joyous, having generated armor-like joyous perseverance, then, we are now ready to apply ourselves to the second type of joyous perseverance, that of gathering virtue. So when we engage in activities of gathering virtue, such as in the 6 perfections, when conjoining the other 5 with joyous perseverance, we take delight in our training. So when meditating, for example, on generosity or ethical restraint or patience, concentration or wisdom, we take joy in what we're doing. This means we're pulling up our strength of mind to continue with effort, with perseverance. And this enables our skill in our training that we're engaging in to grow exponentially. Our skill of mind, as well as the virtue that we are accumulating. And this comes about through applying the joyous perseverance to our pursuits of our virtuous pursuits, and has the 2 results of our inner skill, our inner mental development growing, as well as our virtue growing.
janji samba khoro jige nyamle nang de khoro jige jimbi nyamle che la towe samba de gewa chudi gi chudumre khoro ju chudumi nyamle na ya la towe samba de da ne ga je khoro jige gewa khar na ne gewi jawa shen ki jawa towe de la ya gewa de la towe samba de da gewi chudi chudum cha de da nga ju ne nga ju gi da jimbi nyamle che la gawa gawi samba de nga ju gi gewa chudi gi chudum cha gore 아니 주름 소야라 가위에 삼바신 조위에 셈바디 당 알아주 개와 가르치나 개와 조위에 될라 조위에 셈바디 요바나 당 알아주 규기 개와디 데니기 조위에 셈바디 당 알아주 규기 개위 치디기 전도 최고라.
Bodhisattvas generate great delight in whatever virtuous activity they're engaging in, such as the other 5 perfections. So us too, when we're engaging in, for example, generosity, intentionally generate delight. For bodhisattva, this will arise spontaneously. But when we say meditating on generosity or actually engage in an act of generosity, generate delight in what we're doing. And thereby, in accordance with our capacity, we too are practicing just like a bodhisattva.
다니바 숨바디 semje donji 추름세야디 데니 유고네 카나 마도바 메비기 semje 된 베네 제바 semje don지 준줄라 베고디에서.
Of the 3 types of joyous perseverance, last time we looked at the first, that of armor-like. Now we just looked at the second, that of gathering virtue. And now we come to the third in the next point. By means of those previous 2, the joyous perseverance of striving for the welfare of beings through a determination to benefit them without engaging in non-virtue.
데니 유고네 카나 마도바 메바스네 카나 마도바나네 디바레고와 디바시오레 직 디바네 샬라 느그로와 라신이가라 느로와 샬라 미니베시오라 다간던달라 카나 마도바 메바스 샬라 미니바체 샬라 마니비기 샬라 디 미니바디게 도초 카나 마도 니 펜비게 삼바 펜바 샬라 펜비게 되 셈젤라 펜비게 되래야 안 제리아 가신 그래서 가위 쪽에 삼바디다 semje donji ki chutum saji 가서 준비 시작으로 준비 semje donji ki 준비 시작으로
The third type of joyous perseverance is that of striving for the welfare of beings. So the third point is by means of those 2, so the 2 previous divisions, the joyous perseverance of striving for the welfare of beings through a determination to benefit them without engaging in non-virtue. What this means then is when one is engaging in in striving to be of benefit to others, not harming them. So this is very similar to the third division of ethical restraints that we looked at a few months ago. But here, because with ethical restraint, it's whilst engaging in beneficial activities for others, not to harm them. So that is the ethical restraint of striving for the welfare of beings. The joyous perseverance element is taking delight, being joyful whilst doing so.
Adine Delia, that Jerem Chige, Lam Rim Text, Lam Chon à la Garçon, Jelamies, Medo, Tempe Junju, Goguena, Lungdo Yun de Yang Dashin Pill, Jelam Tamje, Duna Temperature, Ganzam Lege, Tanam, Yishin Drup, Deter Shene, Lelo, Kunsevi, Lapchin Junju Gas, and Namje Zams, she song so said.
Now we come to the verses from Lama Tsongkhapa Jeram Pushe, of which the commentary is on. So again, I'll read my own translation. When armor-like joyous perseverance, steady and immovable, is worn, your qualities of learning and realization increase like the waxing moon. All your activities become meaningful, and all you undertake succeeds as hoped for. Knowing this, to dispel all forms of laziness, bodhisattvas apply joyous perseverance of enormous strength. So we'll go through each line, and then it will become clearer.
Da mido tempe zunju ko na sede mido sede tanga zunju mutine sore te Gabriel zunju jeje yang ba zam xia xian de zunju de do so me ba xia so me so ba sede mido ba sede zunju de pa me ye wa ji dian ba sede mutu ji yun xing jie mutu ne go le sen mido tempe zunju deni ge zunju yu go sede de ji na de go xia sede deni ge zunju ko rong go xia de deni ge go na sede deni ge zunju de nyamlen cheba ina mido be zunju ane mido tempe zunju go na sede zunju ge gewi benang az ben je ka su pe ji le xia ba na jimba ta ya la ga wi san ba di ane jimba ta ya la ga wi san ba di jimba be ya bo re san be sam di mido ba shi tempo che yun bu che ne tempo mudu che du ne nyamlen na wa ina an delia an sena gi ne ba gi ne yung ma re se go ba chisa dina shin az gewi jawa ka re tum na delia zunju mido ba che mudu che ne yun sin mudu che zunju de nyamlen na wa ina so re an din na wa na ka yung gu re la na lung do yun de yang da wa pe da jin pe se de lung gi yun de na to be yun de ge 다와 체버지게 다와디 니 체버 니서 야 체체 주고 어디나 신제나 먼저 연대의 야 체체 주고리 해서 그래 율로도 연대 양의 대신 표현했어.
Looking then at the first line, when armor-like joyous perseverance, steady and immovable, is worn. Here we're referring to when one generates joyous perseverance, it protects the mind like armor. And it has these aspects of being steady and immovable. So here, when one generates joyous perseverance in a virtuous activity, it means one is taking delight in that virtuous activity. And this means one's virtuous activity will be steady and immovable, or to express it differently, it will be unwavering, which has this characteristic of being continuous, hence joyous perseverance. Taking delight in our virtuous activity will ensure that we will do so continuously. We will persevere in it, but in a delightful way. So if we take as an illustration then, the practice of generosity. When you're meditating on generosity, imagining being of benefit to others, either through material means or through protecting their lives or giving the Dharma, generating great joy in doing so. This generation of joy will serve to ensure that we will want to continue to cultivate the mind of generosity within us and to act under its influence whenever the opportunity comes our way. We will seek out opportunities to be of benefit to others, to be generous towards others. And this will serve to ensure that not only do we develop this giving attitude towards others, this generous attitude towards others, but the contrary mind to generosity, that of miserliness, we will never come under its influence. And when we are in a position to be generous to others, our cultivation of both generosity conjoined with joyous perseverance will ensure that we do act in a way that's beneficial to others, and should miserliness arise, we'll readily be able to dispel it. So this is the great power of conjoining joyous perseverance to virtuous minds, or minds of virtue. And then the second line, your qualities of learning and realization increase like the waxing moon. So this aspect of joyous perseverance, that of joy or delight, will ensure that our learning and our understanding of that, our integration of our learning, this will grow ever more because we are taking pleasure in our spiritual development.
공바이나 안도 똑바디게 아니 야야야 게투고와 제가 롱기 롱다 똑베인데 망부 니스 망부 퇴부 망마마 최 망마 퇴 근데 디던다 마마 삼여도 근데 퇴최 롱기 연된디게나 얼롱된데 여러시 신야 망아 안 똑베인데 귤레게 디게나 니스 망아 용거리 해서지 이렇게 조거리에서 그러와 근데 전주 세대 살직니에 바샤샤베네 룽유엔데디게 야드야 말 살직니 요금 데스콤 냐데 바도 샤샤베나 디안 도베엔데 야게 조투 말 세카서 무티지 고 제베네 야게 조 야고 조그레서 dona disungdoa.
When armor like joyous perseverance, steady and immovable, is worn, your qualities of learning and realization increase like the waxing moon. Taking joy in hearing teachings and reading the text will mean one will readily engage in these activities. One will take delight at the opportunity to hear teachings and to read texts. So just like in our everyday life, we readily engage in what we enjoy. So too here, when we apply joyous perseverance. Taking delight then in learning, we will also take delight in reflecting on what we are hearing, reflecting on what we are reading. And this will then ensure that this knowledge we are gathering is being integrated within us, having an impact on our way of thinking and thereby our interactions with others. And in this way, realizations start to grow within us as well. So both of these, learning and realization, come about independent on our endeavors, our virtuous endeavors, being conjoined with joy. Taking joy, we'll want to engage in ever more hearing and reflecting on what we are hearing. Whereas if one does hear teachings, engage in some meditation on them, but if one doesn't find joy in that, one's endeavors will be sporadic. And sporadic endeavors will not lead to an inner transformation. But if one takes delight, joy in what one is doing, then one can be sure that over time, realization will come, transformation will come.
다다자 죄람 담제 되다 덴바 교선 죄람스 류기 죄바다 나게 죄바 이기 죄바 되네기 나 되나 덴바신 디 제부서 되는세디 나게 죄람을 되네 제부 류기 죄람네 제부 이기 죄람네 제부 장신래 펜바 신고바네 되해제 되 제상 되네기 전주 잠제 안수름 소야당 안수버 검야당 되니 직제야당 돈심 죄람되게 되나 된바 차기레스디 릉하게 줘봤더니 샹래 미녀바 한 샹래 디기류하다 라래네 디기류야 내가 몽바네 타독섬다에네 개와 치마에네 하다 미고바 토야 안 탈바다 탐지기 미고바 토야 어두스네 죄라 되나 된바 준 거래야지.
When armor like joyous perseverance, steady and immovable, is worn, your qualities of learning and realization increase like the waxing moon. All your activities become meaningful. All your activities, whether physical activities, verbal interaction, or the motivating mind, all of them become meaningful. Meaningful meaning that the result that one is striving for will be achieved. The result for oneself and for others will be achieved when one's activities are conjoined with joyous perseverance. So whether one is striving for a good rebirth as a human or God, or for liberation from suffering in its entirety, or to become a Buddha for the sake of others, such goals will be achieved. When one is engaging in virtuous activities so as to be of benefit to others, those benefits will be achieved. One striving to develop oneself spiritually so that one can be of ever greater benefit to others, those will be achieved. And that's the meaning then of the third line. All your activities become meaningful.
지산 대대 추름사에 배야고래 섬 델야 가와시우 치게네 가와디 데네 가비 쫀리디 무티 제나네 도시네 야게 무티 제네제네 데네 쫀리디 가제 슈쳐버려나 지산 추름디 야고 숨고르와 추름 야와서 류하게 쮸바디 샹라 네베 자와디 무디디 마제바 체고로 마디오 차도 류하게 쮸바데 가르치게스 샹라 팬비게 자와지리로와 지산 류하 쮸바 샹라 미니베 자와 송와코는 따라네 수름 자와 기와치마 타다 미고와도 왜 규체고래 안데 탈바다 탐제김 전주심비 군내란 군내란 공바이나 산조고 와도 왜 규체고래 제가 탈바다 탐제김비 고와도 규야디 체고래 안데 기와치마 타다 미고와도 왜 규야디 체고래 안에 니기 송여도 안에 류하게 쮸바 가르리게스네 남바도 송바에 자다 류하 쮸바 고고로와 진짜 야가치리기로와 야가치리도 내가비네 류하 유리기 쮸바 야고 나게 쮸바 야고 샤레 이기 쮸바 야고 샤레 편바지바는 샤레야 디기 주야 안에 니기 이제 라라디 내가비네 라라디기 샤레야 디기 한께와 치마서 나라다 미고 와도 비기 타바다 탐지기 보고 차고 제가 된데 된바세 된사디 타바다 탐지기 보고 본 깨와 치마 라다 미고 본 세딜에 섬다는 세디가 라진이가라 디기 디다 된세 제가 주름 송화도 빼야고래 선배 쫀디까지 숙체베네 주름도 야송 두고요 주름이 야송도 링어 쮸바디 야갈레바자 디 견제네 근데 야갈 된다데 바 얘기해야지 한 제고야고 용거래 세디 송거와
To take an illustration, generating the determination that one will restrain one's mind from coming under the influence of afflictions such as anger and attachment, and thereby ensure that one doesn't have afflicted thoughts at all, and certainly won't act under their influence in terms of our physical interactions with others or way of speaking. This is the training in ethics. And when one then takes joy in this, engages in these meditations with delight, then one is engaging in both the trainings of ethical restraint and joyous perseverance. The great purpose of conjoining these two, any virtuous activity with joyous perseverance, is that through taking joy in what we are doing, we will readily want to engage in these meditations. We will readily want to receive further information on this topic so that we can deepen our meditation. And this is because we're seeing this as joyful, as pleasurable. It will not be difficult to, for example, have a sustained meditation practice, to meditate on this topic repeatedly over a sustained period. And thereafter, through this joyful approach, in between meditation sessions, when we're going about our activities, because of this joyous attitude applied in our training, we'll have a similar attitude to the application of our training. In other words, when encountering difficult situations, we'll readily apply what we have been meditating on. And thereby, even when faced with difficult situations, our mind will remain ethical, not coming under the influence of the afflictions. And thereby, we'll readily do what is right rather than what is easy. So through conjoining joyous perseverance with our training in, for example, ethics, we'll bring about rapid transformation of our way of thinking because we are enjoying this training. Accompanying this, we'll also accumulate vast stores of merit, because each activity will create so much more merit because of the strength of mind that joyous perseverance brings. Thereby, our own inner transformation right now in this life will come about ever more rapidly, and moreover, we'll create the causes for good rebirths in our future lives and our continuing spiritual development. Ethical restraint is the primary cause for good rebirths. Moreover, it is the indispensable basis for eliminating our afflictions, as well as accumulating all other virtuous qualities. And thereby, through training in ethics conjoined with joyous perseverance, not only are we creating powerful causes for good rebirths, but also powerful causes that lead to liberation and enlightenment. And thereby, we will bring ever greater happiness to ourselves and others in this and future lives. So in brief, conjoining joyous perseverance to our virtuous endeavors ensures far more powerful results will be achieved because of the stronger causes that joyous perseverance leads to.
다 간삼 리게 타남 이신 줍세로 간삼 리게 타남 이신 줍세도 소속이 때 소속이 변에 신의 주야게 된다려 안지게 신의 주배야 그래 섬지 될야 안지 신의 주야게 섬다 띵이진 공부하들 가위 섬로 존재 지어봐네 존재 무티제 되네게 비와메 봐 무티제 템부 지어봐이나 되네 나도 가르침 거랬으네 신의 주야게 된다 냠네 지고 진짜 되네자 디 타마디 신의 이신 줍세도 소속이 신의 주고도 내규로 토고도 선배 삼바 나신 아니 삼바 신의 주그리 이신도 주그리 해서 디 나시 당랑 소속이 탈배 타바토백이 되나 서바나 타바토백이야 토백이 삼다지 냠내 쳐야 돼 야보래 삼바 있나 디니기 소 타바도바 나신 타바톱 두그리 해서 디나 있음전 탐지기도 산조고 봐 토고 지산 전주 셈 거면 빼 야보래 삼제 디니기 무티제 아니 전주의 가위게 전주 요바는 템포체 무티네 전주 요바이나 아니 디기 소속이 산조고 봐 토바 되바 나신 이신 도바 나신 산조고 봐 두그리 해서 이신 두그리 해서 저 소속이 자와 개외 자와 디지의 강 잠바디 띵이 전주 좀제 무티지 냠는 예바이나 소속이 삼바 나신 된다데 두그리 해서 이신 줍세데.
That was the third line. All your activities become meaningful. And the fourth line. And all you undertake succeeds as hoped for. Here, whichever virtuous activity one engages in when it's conjoined with joyous perseverance, because of the delight one's taking in this the spiritual endeavor, one will persevere in one's training. In other words, one will continue repeatedly over a sustained period to cultivate these good qualities within oneself. So, for example, if someone's training in developing single-pointed concentration, this doesn't come quickly. It's difficult to achieve, just like other good qualities too. But it will come about if one trains repeatedly over a sustained period. And to have both the strength of mind as well as the open, spacious flexibility, joyous perseverance is required. So therefore, all you undertake succeeds as hoped for. This is the case with concentration. It is the case with all good qualities, such as liberation or bodhicitta. So if one generates the wish, I want to become a bodhisattva in this life. I want to accumulate all the causes so that I can become a bodhisattva in this life. Conjoining that aspiration with joyous perseverance will give us the strength and lightness of mind to apply ourselves in hearing and reflecting and meditating on the topic. And through this skillful approach, we will have success, we will experience success in our meditations and in our daily life. It will be much easier to be mindful of our objects of meditation, for example, bodhicitta, and keep this fresh in our daily interactions. So therefore, the cultivation of joyous perseverance is indispensable because all you undertake succeeds as hoped for.
Dedar shene lelo kunsewe labjun zundu ke senam ke zamside. Dedar shene labdu jisan zundu di muti je zundu ke nyamne 개위 자와 될 주비에 가위 삼바 존리디 무티시 안에 냠는 제바이나 안에 갈고스네 룽기 때문에 룽다 안에 또베 연된지 다와나시 공원이고도 배기 여봐 안에 디하고 셰바세 디네기 하고 셰바 안 디네기 죄람 담제 그 룽아 유스미 죄라네지 되나 템바 용구 여바데 되나 템바 여바데 하고 디네 아니 그 소수기 제위 개와 상제 고방 특별 치도 제위 개위 자와 주위 치도 전바데 전리디 무디 전바는 디네기 개위 자와 삼바나시 된다 주투버 여바데 디네기 하고거래 전시선반도 미도 진 신고 신 하고 제바제 되는 하고네 디들 시에네 디들 하고 되는 하고네 되는 전리디 빼 마세 기에침보래샤 삼제 디네기 지 레로디 파스 차상 매 세제 레로 기마주 레로디야 빵제네 아니 전주 랍첸 전주신 빼 sem제 랍첸스 sem제 탐지기 된다래야 야첸보 디네기 안 전주 중고래스 지사 디네기 된다 전주 좀비기 제보 가르스 롱다 또베연데 양어 폐기여봐 저 류가 유승이 쩌바 탐제 라신이가래 팬비기 된다 된바 인바 아니 소수기 상제 고방 톱을 되바 나신 전에 아니 제 상제 고방 톱 투고여봐 디네기 니수디게 하고 전에 아니 레로기 맞죠 전에 아니 sem제 탐지기 된다래야 아니 직배 랍첸보 전주 개첸보 쇼 전에 sem제 탐지기 된다래야 전주 도시에 냠는 능고래서 전시선반도 유도 능고래서 안도 숨거다 대대의 시내에 서로와 지단디 가르시에 바레스 나오는도 양원의 표와 죄란 단주 되나 된바 안 자와 개와 가와진 되는 이신의 주구여 바데 되니기 니수의 하고제는 되니 레로 바제 게마주어제 되니 심지어 탐지기 된다리아 안 직 삼당지 준비 중고래제.
The next two lines. Knowing this, to dispel all forms of laziness, bodhisattvas apply joyous perseverance of enormous strength. Knowing this then refers to what was presented in the preceding lines. The bodhisattva recognizes the great importance of joyous perseverance. That joyous perseverance ensures that one is able to engage in virtue continuously, uninterruptedly, because the mind is light and spacious, taking pleasure in virtue. And this then has the impact that one's knowledge grows, and that knowledge becomes integrated rapidly within oneself. Your qualities of learning and realization increase like the waxing moon. And through this process of inner transformation, which comes about rapidly in dependence on virtuous activities being conjoined with joyous perseverance, all your activities of body, speech, and mind become meaningful once desired goals are fulfilled, and all you undertake succeeds as hoped for. The bodhisattva then, recognizing this, abandons all forms of laziness, those three types we looked at last week, attachment to improper activities, that of procrastination, and the laziness of discouragement. The bodhisattva abandons these through cultivating joyous perseverance. And thereby, with the enormous strength of joyous perseverance, the bodhisattva is able to fulfill their capacity and ensure that their mind is enthused with the bodhisattva ideal, the other cherishing outlook, and thereby all their resulting physical interactions with others and verbal communication is focused on benefiting the sentient beings.
Dine zadan anzo janshi sembanam yudushine 전주 좀 두스는 거래셔데 되네 자당 안아서 이네 심지에 탐지게 된다려 안에 기회 자와 주비에 전주 좀 거래셔 자당 안아서 전주 좀 세팅 안아서 가르삼 땅 왔습니다 가지 된다라 심지에 탐지게 된 심지에 탐지 대화대 템바데 템퍼쇼 심비게 잠바르 와다 지상이 되네 심지에 대화 템바수 심전이라 셴이야 잠바 고미야데 빼 야고리 섬에 가와지야지 잠바 고미야라 가와지야 심전도 동안다 자나 심전도 동안다 자나 좀 삼로데 니지로와 지사 데네 심전 동안다 자나 심비 니지 고미야데 잠바다 제와 고미데 야고리 삼바이나 안디디 삼로데 준주셔 잠바다 제와를 미비게 쪼외 삼바차와 준주샤고래 Dinajidu, Dang Simjan, Tamjik, Sanjo Goba Toba Show, some Janshu Sim Gomia, the Bay, somebody, the Janshu Sim Gomialia, Zundishago, Zundishago. Dinajidang Simjan, Tamjik, Sanjo Goba Tovala, Jimba, the children super Zundi Yamnajo, Ding Yamnaji to the Bay, some big some Davana, Dichazan, Pajin Julemi because Zundi Chago. Just do she and you get some diet, now to give Java Kadrubna, Dinashin, and Suzuki Jimba diet, or control the Chobo Puyada, Suzuki Dachi, many Taya Lasopata, the new Kora Lasopata, he gave a Dinichi to Jinichi, gave out Bay, what some big delia, Joe Sabas, Joaki did it, Joaki Hore, Joe Gomia did it. Chisangazi, Della Joe Gombaine, Delia Gazi, Joe Shuchele, DJL, Deva Shuchelu, Pena, the Zemorosine, Zematella, Gazi Shuchegana, Zematella, Devachele, Zagi, Bessu Shuchele, Jeturua, Jisa, the Dinashe, and the Laka Kare Chevin and Delia, Debakazi Shuchelena, Delia, and Chishanda, the Shash and DJ, Bessu Chiguro, Dinashing gave Java, the new Gomiat Bay, Abores, and Delia, Draw Shukim Gomiati, Draw Yet, Ben Kitchen Chagin Sanhazuki, and Dushin, and also some Dadushin Gomiati, the Assembly Tamjig, Dondali, some Jedushin, and Draw Gomiati, as a Tundusum said it, Draw Gomiati Shada.
As we've heard tonight and last time as well, this is how a bodhisattva trains, conjoining all their endeavors with joyous perseverance. So ourselves who aspire to become bodhisattvas too, should emulate them as best we can. The way then I encourage you to emulate the bodhisattvas in this training is to intentionally generate joyous perseverance in your daily meditation. So for example, when meditating on love, generating the wish, may all beings abide in a state of lasting, stable happiness. Then generate joy in that. How wonderful it would be if all beings experience this. May they experience this. Generate delight in this. Thereafter, when meditating on compassion, generating the wish, may all beings be freed from suffering and never experience a moment of suffering. Then generate joy in compassion. Take delight in compassion. Having taken delight then in love and compassion, think, I must become a bodhisattva for the sake of others. How wonderful it would be to be actually able to generate real bodhicitta within myself and generate delight in this possibility, delight in bodhicitta itself, delight in our capacity to actually become bodhisattvas. Then, when one comes to meditate on the 6 perfections, as I've mentioned earlier tonight, generate delight in all of them individually. Because the purpose of conjoining our meditations with joyous perseverance is that it's a skillful method that will serve to give us great strength of mind and determination. The more we like something, the more joy we take in something, the less obstacles there are that prevent us from engaging in it. We know this from our daily life. We know this from society in general. People put energy readily into things they find pleasurable. So here, intentionally generate a mind of pleasure, of joy, of delight in the virtue one is cultivating and the virtue one aspires to cultivate, or the virtuous minds one aspires to generate with sincerity. Because this serves to give us both an ease of mind and an ever stronger determination, and thereby we readily overcome what otherwise would overwhelm us. Therefore, joyous perseverance is truly a skillful method to overcome obstacles and overcome them with ease and gentleness.
Dine zada ngā zuki sosui ngā zuki sam sososolya sam tāwene tangi lunga yusumgi shenla nyoba chigime sambe samlo di kazi shukche ngā zu nyeme ikabla kazi du da de lokashi nyala kanizu dada kanizu sam tāwene da sosoyu la shenla lunga yus shenla nyoba chigime sambe samlo di du shukche rōwa chagorwa dine shenla lunga shenla nyoba chigime sambe samlo di tsurimdi 디 삼나타디 가제 가서 추름래 소수길에 되네 삼주 여바이나 소수길에 추름링에서 예제된 추름 요래다 가제 다 되네기 링아 있으면 샤란데 지금에서 배삼모티 되네 따야 배 야고래 sabeke 가와치 삼모네 되네 가와치 걸 소수길에 여바이나 되네기 추름래 미비고 전주 요래다 가제 추름래 추름 냠서 렘비 준비게 추름래 준비 전주도 요래 제사 전주 용걸 누나도 지나가야지 소설이야 게 디나신 단 내가도 다 추름래 셔와 디나신 다 소수기 짐바 동에서 방에 샬야 지 컨트롤이야 푸야다 샬야 로지 삼베 동기 삼베 삼로지 가지 두디 여바는 아주길 짐바 여바제 짐베 냠래 여바 데라 데니게 동에서 삼바 베 야고레 삼베 데라야 야고레서 가와 데 쪼와제 쪼와디 여바는 짐바데라 쪼위 존주여 지상 디니 데니게 두시는 아주 기회 자와 가래셔나 두시는 아 소수길 삼다베는 근데 소수기 디데 아주 라바라바 하고 그러와 데네서 어두셔베나 소수지 데네 소수기 두친 삼다데 데네 직다니 다살 지금 니네다 라다버에다 로레다 데네게 삼도도 곰실 마소나 슈셰셰 루고와 데네에서 루고에서 한 다신 폐세 다와나시디 야야야라 체루부레 세가지로와 아니 디나신 아니 강하삼 레게 타남 미신 줍시데 제상 소수기데 삼바나신 돈다디 아니 두그리 세지 디송고로와 제상 안주이나 데네 토네야 당아주 전주이 냠는 셰직 나주기다 두시네 안디기 토네 나주리아 나주 차상 두신다 삼나리아 두 야네야도 당고야데 쪼기고야데 소수기 기회 자와 가르제외네 디네 기회 자와들 삼다제 디 약고래서 내려 쪼기고야데 야네야도 기고야데 기체 못하게 서러다 어디 딘당 보고를 당하죠 아주 참아 상시 니가
Two ways I encourage you to utilize this in your meditation. The first I've just mentioned by conjoining it, joyous perseverance, with your whatever you are meditating on. The second way, which I also mentioned last week, but I'll mention again because it's really an effective method, is to, especially those of you who've been coming for some years, who've been meditating for some years, look at where you are now in your spiritual development. Look at where you were before you started. And depending on the length of time, look at your progression. For example, in terms of ethical restraint, the commitment not to harm others in any way. Reflect on earlier how you used to naturally think, what thoughts would naturally arise within oneself, in particular in relation to others. Think of how one used to speak towards others or act towards others. And see where the training in ethics, the commitment not to harm others, the commitment not to come under the influence of the afflictions, see the development that has come to you, that you have created within yourself. And then take joy in this inner transformation and use this as a basis to continue your training. Because we know the cultivation of new habits doesn't come easily. It requires commitment over an extensive period of time. So use joyous perseverance to reflect on your development over years, because this is the spans of time one requires. And be joyous take delight in your own spiritual development. And ethical restraint was one example. Another would be generosity, the wish to benefit others. If you've been training in this for some time, reflect how more readily the wish to be of benefit to others arises, how more readily you give of yourself to others. Recognize the development that has come within yourself and use this as a basis to continue to strive in your training. So this is a skillful way and I suggest that you do this regularly so as to use it as a skillful means to make your mind positive. Because life is difficult. Training our mind, transforming our mind is slow, and we don't often recognize the change within ourselves. Intentionally look for this. Make your mind positive. This gives you the space to be able to continue your spiritual development ever more rapidly. So I encourage you then to use both of these techniques. And this is something I also use in my own training. Okay, thank you. We'll finish then there for tonight. Thank you.